Okay, you have written the title. I can explain it, but first. Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we talk about the devil himself.
Annoyed expression.
And let me first tell you how I come up with this theory. I watched the trailer for Murder Drones, but through this trailer I noticed a little theme that was going on. And I don't know if I interpret too much into it, but I noticed the crucifix Uzi was holding in her hand, and I thought of, what if this is a sign that there's more religious meaning to this show than we originally thought? And this will maybe change the entire history of this show. But first, like and... Just kidding. I know it's annoying, but please, it really helps me out. Anyways, to the theory. I have rewatched all of Murder Drones once again for the 15th time, but this time I especially looked out for religious imagery, and I have found 4 things I want to talk about. The first one is a bit of a stretch, but this entire video is, so I think the disassembly drones look very much like fallen angels. For example, in the first shot where we ever see them, they are behind the shining moon and have an angel-like vibe to them. Next, I want to point out a scene in the 5th episode where we actually have, I don't know if I interpret too much into it, but this looks like to me a crucifixion, and this will be a big point in my theory if I come to it. But back to the description of the murderons, I think they quite look like vampires. So I'm not per se saying that the murderons are vampires, but I'm saying some of the scenes we are seeing imply at least that they have the capability of one. For example, unnatural strength, unnatural speed, you have to destroy the heart to kill it.
Ow. 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 Ow.
That they burn in the sunlight.
I'd join you if the sun didn't kill me.
But the most important one I need for this theory is that vampires are weak to crosses and can enter churches. And in the new trailer for Murder Drones, we see exactly those 2 things added into the mix. You may ask now, Raptor, what does this all have to do with that sin is a god? Let's get to it. I don't mean that sin is the literal Christian god or some other god that already exists, but I think we can make a connection, a hierarchy. Let's start from the bottom ranks. I mentioned the crucifixion in episode 4. If we go after my theory, the worker drones had enough of being abused by the humans and decided to create their own metal god to free them from them. Now you may be saying, but what if the drones don't believe in religion or anything? But there's a little Easter egg in the background of one of the episodes that actually mentions that the workers actually consider the humans to be their gods, and from this point onward you have to see all the things I'm going to say out of the POV of the worker drones, because if they consider humans to be gods, they also could consider the absolute silver program inside of them as a godly entity that can free them from their abusive gods. And in order to summon this god, they would have to remove the worker drone OSs. If you know, the worker drones are all run by the same AI called the Absolute Solver, but the only reason why the Absolute Solver can control all of them at the same time because each and every individual worker drone has a worker drone OS which gives them a personality and stuff like that, and also gives them their memories that was mentioned by Sin or the Absolute Solver in episode 5. And in order to summon their god, a little cult was formed by some of the worker drones, which we see in the closed off section of the mansion, and one of them was hung up on the cross as a sign of their god, and they all started to remove their worker drone OSs. That's why they all started to malfunction and display the arrow 606 and have the X's on their faces. And now we came to Sin.
Light sip.
I don't think Sin is the actual god, but I think Sin is the one, kinda like a prophet. She was the only drone who was really controlled by the Absolute Solver from the beginning. So the other worker drones obeyed her, and she ordered to create the disassembly drones, as we can see in the basement where some prototypes of the disassembly drones lie around. And now we get to the reason why I described the murder drones so deeply. We see on the cross on the wall some form of prototype, and I think Sin was the prophet of the Absolute Solver, and in order to combat the humans, the Absolute Solver created the blueprints for the murder drones, which helps Sin and the other worker drones to eradicate all the humans in the mansion. But you might say, we have seen how the absolute solver did it all by himself. It could be true that the Sin just used the powers of it, but we have to think that it's not an actual memory, but a recreation of the memories of N and V, because Uzi was never there to begin with. Uzi wasn't even born while all of the mentioned events happened. That's why the crow could never interfere, and so the events would be a lot different. And I would say N, V, and J were the first disassembly drones that had actually been created. That's why they're the only ones, at least as far as we know, that still have control over themselves. And in some of the clips I have shown in the background, you can see some examples of it. For example, like how in the gala scene all the worker drones were ready and standing there, and as soon as Sin turned the lights off, they were ready to attack the humans, and already some of them had upgrades and didn't think about it, just did what Sin said. And again, the only reason why we can see this is because V was standing in the doorway. But to finish off this video, do I actually believe this theory? No, why should I? And I know this is all a really big stretch to assume all of that, but I thought it would be an interesting thought experiment, and maybe in the next 2 episodes we will see more evidence, or to better formulate it, it will have more coincidences maybe feed into this if you stretch far enough. There's also a lot of proof to discard my theory, but like, again, it's just a fun thought experiment. I don't think actually this is going to be canon or something. And to be honest, this wasn't even the most crazy murder drones theory I have seen out there, so I see there's no reason to complain. Anyways, I hope you have a great day, and remember,
You can't talk about murder drones without talking about World War II.
So at time of writing that joke, MadPat hadn't announced that he is going to leave YouTube, and I wanted to poke a little bit fun that everyone is hating his theory, but now it feels kinda uncomfortable to do that, so no hate to MadPat. I don't want to be mean, I wish him all the best.